wait and see what comes out in Budget 2.0, was to soften the impact of that increase in VAT by allowing additional zero-rated food items targeted primarily at low-income households, and also pausing the increase in the fuel levy. So if you think about fuel levies, each year they need to increase by inflation just to keep pace. So by pausing the increase in the fuel levy by inflation, that means that in fact the government is giving back into society. So what was proposed in terms of zero ratings? Well, a few items, but really not very many. This time around, the government proposed additional zero rating items in the form of dairy liquid blends, a variety of meat products, sheep, poultry, goat, swine, various different types of cuts, so meat on the bone, and effectively offal, that was proposed to come through in the zero-rated food items bucket. Now, if you look back at the history of the food items, when VAT was first introduced, it was 10% in 1991. And there was a very small list of food items. Really, the basics were introduced: brown bread, maize meal, dried beans, lentils, pilchards, and milk powders. In 1993, when the rate was increased to 14%, there was significant pushback from COSATU in terms of the impact that the increase in the VAT rate from 10 to 14% would have had on low-income households. And I'll talk to what it really means for low-income households as well. But as a consequence of that pushback from COSATU, additional food items were added: rice, vegetables, fruit, vegetable oil. Again, 2018, the rate went from 14% to 15%. Treasury that time granted concessions, but only on a few items, not too many. White bread flour, cake flour, and in that case also sanitary pads as well were included on the list. And this time around, the items that I mentioned earlier, which Treasury calculates will result in a 2 billion rand reduction to VAT. So why does it impact low-income households? Well, if you think about it, you can't avoid spending on items that attract VAT. So that means that VAT cost hits consumers. Treasury's calculated that for the average household that spends around 100,000 Rand a year on standard rated items, it will result in an additional 1,740 Rand a year of additional tax that those households are carrying. And we also mustn't forget some of the other small stealth taxes, as I like to call them as well, hidden in the budget. So apart from the VAT rate increase, there's also increases coming through in excise on alcohol products and excise on tobacco products.